What's up, everybody? Good morning. Let me make sure my audio is coming through here. Sounds good. How is everybody this morning? We don't have an agenda today. It's just me hanging out, but also, you know, we got some stuff to talk about. First things first. Today is race day for the Southern Rock Racing Series. They're racing at Hawk Pride. I got a chance yesterday to watch the UTV Cup series. Let me tell you guys, if you are not watching that live stream, typically the way the Southern Rock Racing or the National Rock Racing Association does their races, on Friday they do a Cup series, which is kind of like a short course mentality where they kind of race a course and it's fastest through the course. And on Saturdays is when they do the Bounty Hills and stuff like that. So today we'll see the bouncers and we'll see the UTV hill killers, essentially. But yesterday in the UTV Cup Series, they ran an optional course. Essentially, you start in one location, and I assume that they're going to run the exact same course for the bouncers. But at the very end of the course, they had an optional line. Basically, you could take the bouncer line, which is up some giant ledges, or you could go around the giant ledges and take a little bit more time with a couple rocks in that climb. I thought it was pretty cool to see that optional line, because here's the thing: we had I won't say we. I saw a few discussions on the Southern Rock Racing Series. I believe it was on a Mad Ram video. There was a guy who used to race the Hitman buggy. He commented on there. A few people commented on there, and they basically were saying that the race at Mid America that Pro Rock did was easy. That it was basically a flat hill, a straight shot, a U-turn, a jump, and then up. And they were basically kind of just talking about how that's not rock bouncing, and it's more of the ultra four style courses and things like that. And to a certain degree, they're right. Mid America is somewhere that I've never been personally. I have seen a lot of the hills on camera and stuff like that. It looks like I think that the particular video that was shown, they had talked about, it had 42 passes on the hill. So the more times that cars go up the hill, obviously the kind of smoother it gets. A lot of the noisy, chattery rocks get kicked off the hill and things like that. It seems to find the line becomes very evident because it gets kind of worn in. But there was this huge discussion on the post about how, rock bouncing isn't rock bouncing anymore. It's short course. So the guys who run the Southern Rock Racing Series or the National Rock Racing Series. So National Rock Racing Association is the umbrella that the Central, North, and Southern Rock Racing Series all fall under. It's all the same thing. So if I address it as the Southern Rock Racing Series, I mean the NRRA. So that being said, a few of the guys that run that show, they chimed in and they basically said, like, come this weekend, you're going to see rock bouncing and at Hawk Pride. I was really surprised. What probably surprised me the most, though, is in that UTV Cup series that they ran yesterday, I would say 40% of the drivers took the optional line. And essentially the optional line was, or let me roll it back just a little bit, something that they've added in all of the courses this year for the bouncers, for the Cup series, is there's a mandatory jump. So they've instituted it in every course so far, and I'm sure that it's just part of the courses that they're going to build now. But you had kind of a tabletop and then into a big kicker, and then basically from the landing off the kicker, you could shoot it straight over the ledges. That being said, it was pretty interesting because a lot of the UTV Cup guys started to take that line. I thought it was really interesting because the Cup guys are kind of thought of to be more conservative against the Bounty Hill guys, which yesterday it pretty much showed not to be true. That a lot of these guys are doing double duty, but I'm actually going to pull up a picture for you guys to see here. Oh goodness, here I'm getting old, y'all. I don't know how to work my computer anymore. So that's the ledge, essentially, from where the bottom of that picture. Thank you, Black Dog Photography. Um, they had to hit that ledge, and the ledge that Jamie Cold Iron right there is hitting, it pops the front end up, the back end hits it, and then it shoots them over another ledge into what would be the top of the race course. Um, I think it's cool, but I really think that this shows that the UTV Cup Series can have, a little bit harder courses, a little bit more rocks in the courses. I mean, this isn't just like a rock garden added in. One thing that I see all the time is in some of these Ultra 4, especially Pro Rock Endurance is probably the least guilty of this. They'll make the endurance courses or the cup courses really smooth, basically all woods or what have you, and then they'll just slap a rock garden in it. I don't think that that's the answer. I think that a lot of these Ultra 4 guys, a lot of these endurance guys, a lot of these cup guys can handle stuff like this. I think that they can very easily take the big, here's what I'm getting at. Most of the drivers, a significant portion of the drivers yesterday chose to hit that optional line in sake of time, time to gaining time rather than saving the car. I think that they should incorporate this. Clyde, Zach, whoever, was a part of making that decision yesterday to do that, good choice. I really think it's great. I was very surprised yesterday when I turned it on and saw basically what they're doing or what the course was that they're running. But here's a good example of the jump that they had to hit just previous to the wall. So all that being said, Southern Rock Racing guys, you guys did a great job with this course. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was really, really cool, especially watching it as a fan. I think that there's an issue with getting the data, the bandwidth out. So the live feed yesterday, it wasn't the best in terms of pixelation, things like that. But it's pretty cool that we're still getting a chance to see the live feed. The hosts are in great location. They're literally right here, right here, and then about 100 feet back is the obstacle. So I think it's a really great setup they have going on. If they can figure out the data processing for today, it'll be great. So I'm looking forward to watching that some today. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the keyboard warriors that talk about rock bouncing not being the same as it used to be and really what can be done. If you're a regular listener of the show, you kind of understand that we've talked about it a little bit, but, I think the fans are at a point where they want to get back to the roots. Now, all the time, the argument is we can't run harder hills because they're either too far back in the woods, we can't get spectators to them, and spectators are, basically what feed the money that comes in. But I saw something really interesting. The live feed for the Pro Rock race at Mid-America, I mean, it was probably 700-800 last weekend during some of the races. I don't recall exactly who was racing at the time I tuned in. I personally was watching the Ultra 4 race, and Ultra 4, man, did an amazing job of getting cameras into the woods at AOP. I thought that was really, really cool what they did. Now, something that you have to take into account is you can't get a lot of the data out of that, out of those wood sections and things like that. You just can't do it. There's not a lot of data processing and things like that. They're doing a bunch of different things in terms of they're doing a bunch of different things in terms of. I'm actually recording a live podcast. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sorry, y'all. Just had a neighbor come up. But what we're doing is basically Ultra 4 did an excellent job of getting the video out of the woods. I thought it was good because we hadn't seen at Ultra 4 or not at Ultra 4 necessarily, but we hadn't seen at AOP live coverage from deep down in the woods like that. I thought it was pretty interesting. I think they did a great job. I think that as time goes on, it will only get better. But I think that whatever Ultra 4 is doing in terms of the data and getting the streaming out to everybody, the quality was really, really good. That being said, there was 1/3 of the viewers for Ultra 4 as there was for the hill killing. So what that tells me is it's a lot harder. I kind of asked the question on my Facebook. I was like, why is this happening? Why do we have almost 1,000 people watching over here, and we're barely banking on 300 right now for Ultra 4? Because I mean, when you look at funding is normally indicative of popularity. And I would say that Ultra 4 funding compared to Pro Rock or Southern Rock is, multiplied by a factor. So I don't know. I personally, I think that the endurance side of the Pro Rock, of the Southern Rock, of that kind of thing like that, I think that the sponsors like Ford, like Can-Am, Polaris, I know that those guys are involved in the Pro Rock series, the Southern Rock Racing series, but I really think that they should start looking into that, because the market is obviously there for the Southern Rock, the Pro Rock, stuff like that, for that hill killing style. There are sponsors for the big bouncers and stuff like that, but it's so hard to get a good sponsor for the big bouncers, just for the sole fact that nothing, you can't, like, it's not a Ford up there, it's not a Can-Am up there, it's 100% custom vehicle. So sponsorship in the bouncer side gets a little interesting. You can piece it out to Radflow and Spider Off-Road and things like that. Like, you can do those things, but I think getting those factory sponsorships like Ultra 4 has, and Progressive, like Progressive Insurance is a sponsor of Ultra 4. Surely, an insurance company is involved in the rock bouncing sport. So all that being said, to summarize my thoughts here, I think it's very interesting. I think that the draw of rock bouncing is still there. I think it's still very, very popular. I think it's, in my opinion, more of a spectacle than Ultra 4. Now, I think the endurance side of all those races is the most exciting. There's a couple guys, Eagle Eye Productions, 7 FPV, that are doing drone footage of the endurance races, like Mid-America. They had drone footage of Cody Martin and Jay Shaw literally right at the finish line, like just right in the head and neck, and they actually captured that moment when Cody Martin was able to win that race. So I think that that's really cool. I really think Ultra 4 had a drone that was actually shooting live feed information out. There's something to that, there's that to be explored for the endurance guys. I don't know. I just think we're in such an interesting place where the media is starting to catch up. The new technology of media is starting to catch up with a lot of these organizations. And, I would say in 2 or 3 years, we're going to have good access to see Ultra 4 way down in the woods, those battles that are happening. AOP is not conducive to passing in the woods and things like that. So I think it's really interesting what you'll see at, like, Reno has good coverage, but maybe Oklahoma out in those wood sections, Ultra 4 occasionally will go to the Northeast and they'll do a race out there. There's a bunch of different things that they can do in the future, and I think that it's really exciting. But all that being said, I really think some of the factory sponsors for the bigger sponsors, let me say that, should start feeding the Southern Rock and the hill courses and stuff like that. I think it's pretty interesting. Just, it's some things I've been mulling around here. One thing that did get released this week, which was pretty interesting. I don't know if it was this week or last week, but there is a let's see, man, I should have had it pulled up. Ducati released a side-by-side rendering this week, and it was pretty interesting. I think they were talking about it being some kind of hybrid vehicle or something along those lines. I didn't look too much into it, and there's definitely not a whole bunch of information out there on it yet. I think that they were just prototype renderings. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this back in here. So there it is. Brent Hunter, thanks, man, for putting these up. I think it's pretty interesting. I really like the fact that they're doing a built-in spare tire carrier. I think that's something that probably needs to be instituted, especially on the West Coast style rigs. It's something different. I think we're in a time now where it's a really, sorry about that. There we go. Perfect. I I think it's an interesting time where we're seeing a lot of different people try and step into the market. Segway, they just Segway, yeah, it's Segway, not Segway. Segway, they just introduced their hybrid vehicle. Nikola, who partners with the military often for electronic only vehicle. We'll go over those shortly. But one thing I really wanted to highlight about this Ducati vehicle is the rear suspension. Looks like a cantilever suspension. Pretty interesting. It's never been done before. Again, these are just prototypes, but you can see out here, up in this top section of the vehicle, there's the shock is actually upboarded here. Another thing of interest is actually the portal design here. It's a portal into the trailing arm, which comes out, and obviously they're showing a 4-cylinder engine here. It's very interesting. I don't know. It's new technology. I'm always really excited about new technology. Something else that's probably worth looking at is the Nikola NZT all electric side by side. I don't want videos, I want images. You know what? We're actually going to go to Nikola Power Sports, nikolamotor.com/powersports. The NZT. So the Reckless is their military version. Some interesting things: 775 foot-pounds torque, 590 horsepower, 4 seconds 0 to 60. Pretty standard, all that stuff. 4 independent electric motors. That's how the Tesla actually runs. They run a motor at each wheel with speed sensors. So that's how they, negate. If you've ever been in a Tesla, you're never going to get wheel slippage. You're never going to get that type of thing because they have sensors, electronic sensors on each wheel that can pretty much, I think it's something crazy like 3,000 times a second. They are already sensing the wheel slippage before you could even think about feeling it in the car. So we see that here with the electric motors there. I would imagine they would have a similar sensor there. It's very interesting what they can do with that there. It's all the direct drive. Electric motors drive each wheel, so no more belts or anything like that. Charging, blah, blah. Who cares about any of that stuff? 125-inch wheelbase, 72-inch width. That's pretty big. 125-inch wheelbase is pretty big. Got 160-inch length, but this is I don't know if you guys can see that. That is the issue for the Nikola car. $80,000. So I had someone ask me. I go to jiu-jitsu a couple times a week, and I was talking to him about setting up a race team and getting into side by sides and things like that. They said, I told them the Can-Am, the new Can-Am is almost $40,000, 37,000, something like that, 38. And they were like, well, how expensive did they get? Quoted this car right here. It starts at $80,000. Granted, the inside is pretty amazing. You see here they have an option to the right there. It includes a hard top, power windows, climate control, HVAC. It's pretty amazing on the inside from the real life pictures that I've seen. Comes stock with 35-inch tires, sound, all that kind of fun stuff. What's really interesting is they have a 3,000-pound towing capacity. I don't know about that. I'm not sure that I would put my anything behind that. But let me show you guys some actual pictures of the car. It's pretty weird. So it looks very reminiscent of the Can-Am and the front end style. I just popped that open into a new window here. So let me get that back in here. But it looks good. It's cool. The thing about it is it's silent. So after this podcast, I really highly recommend you guys, Nikola motor side by side. There's a video of it doing a pass at like 65, 70 miles an hour, and it's silent. All you hear is the jarring of the suspension, the tires on the ground, no motor, no nothing. It's pretty silent. It's kind of weird. So I see the military application for this certainly. Recreationally, look, I'm going up to close to my mic here. For the person who has $80,000 to spend on a recreational vehicle that's not a rock bouncer, just a recreational, why don't you give me a call? You get one of these, I'll fly out and I'll meet you somewhere because I'd love to get in one. And I don't know of anybody that's going to be in one, particularly anytime soon. So there's information floating out. I just wanted to raise that topic and just see, what everybody's thoughts were. Another thing on here, kind of, I made a little sticky note that I'm just going down. How expensive is too expensive? So a lot of times, I had Ian Johnson on recently, and he mentioned, for 10 or 12 grand, you can get yourself a pretty capable small size crawler. Um, and for $80,000, you can get yourself a turnkey build from Wide Open Design. I'm pretty sure that'll get you one. You're not obviously going to get a fully customized or fully this and that. You're not going to get those, but you can definitely get a turnkey build from Wide Open Design for 80 grand. So that's the upper echelon of the side by side market. But Razor, so let's go on Razor. Let's go to Polaris and let's see how much a Razor costs, because I personally haven't bought a Razor new ever. I've always bought a used vehicle, whether it's a pretty new used vehicle or so on and so forth. So we'll start at the bottom here. There we go. Okay, so Razor 900 starts at 14, 900S 15, and a Razor S1000 is 17. That's high. RS1s are 15, and then a Razor XP 1000 is 19, and then a Turbo is 20. Okay, let me go ahead and save you a little bit of heartbreak here. If you're going to buy a new vehicle and the MSRP, which, you should never be paying MSRP. They have rebates, they have sales, they have volume dealers, whatever it may be. If it is $400 or, $1,400 more to get a turbo, just buy the turbo. It is so much of a better vehicle. If you're paying 19 grand for an XP 1000, just pay 5,000 more or whatever it is and just get the XP Turbo S. Don't pay 19,000 for an XP 1000 ever. The used market is something that I push on people just because you can get a really, like this car behind me, that one right there. I got it from a guy. It had I don't even know how many miles on it, but it was pretty much driven up and down the street. There was no, you can find a really good used vehicle for pretty low. 22 and 25, 26. Okay. When does it become too much money? What is the number where it becomes too much? What is the everyday person willing to spend on a side-by-side? For me, if I were to do it all over again, I think 16,000 would probably be a starting place for me. And even then, that's high. That's not an easy thing to bite off. If I was really going to splurge and buy a machine that I'm going to keep for a while, maybe 20,000. But then again, I have a 2008 Chevrolet Silverado that will need replacing at some time, and I'm not sure I could justify 20,000. It's just the question being asked here is, at what point is it too much money? Obviously 80,000 is too much. I saw another quote for a Nikola for 62,000. That's bonkers. It's I don't know. For those who don't know, I'm going to have Can-Am on, Can-Am Factory. I'm going to have Polaris Factory on, I believe, in August for both of those. I'm going to talk to them about what's the end game. Every single year, the new release of the new model, we see it jump up, $7,000-8,000 in price. When does it stop? I mean, at what point do you start applying this high technology stuff to the lower model vehicles? At what point does this XP model that's probably worth $10,000? I've got it pretty loaded up with parts, but it's still an XP 1000. When are they going to start phasing out the XP 1000s and making the Pro XP or in the Turbo S style models the standard? And do those models replace the XP 1000 in terms of that $17,000, $18,000, $19,000 range? Does it all just kind of push down and eventually the X3 is that $16,000 Can-Am, whereas the older model Maverick is out there? At what point does that happen, or do we just keep stacking models on top of each other? Those are some of the questions I'm going to ask them. I don't know. Okay. West Coast races, Vegas to Reno. I was talking to a guy this morning who is planning on racing Vegas to Reno. And let me see here. They basically, I'll save it for lack of reading. They basically sent out a thing this week that said, hey, Vegas to Reno, tentative to cancel. Well, I don't know why you would put out something that says, hey, we're thinking about canceling this race due to COVID, unless you already knew it was going to be canceled. He sent it to me and he said, this is This is just the lube when they get ready to finish the job next week, and just tell us that it's canceled. Because obviously it's August 1st today. That race is supposed to be August 12th. If you're a race organization, and I realize that you're trying to keep the races going, you're trying to keep all this stuff going, but giving people, preparation for months and then canceling the race 11 days in advance. I mean, it's not even going to be 11 days. It'll be on a week's notice. Canceling on a week's notice is not how you treat your racers. It's just not good business. It's not good ethics. It kills morale. The next time you have a race, they're probably not going to buy into it until the last minute. I mean, because they don't know if it's going to happen. They don't know if you're going to get canceled on again. To me, I understand as a race promoter, you're really trying to make it happen, but just cancel the race. Don't put out, it might be canceled. What is that? What is that? You might as well just cancel the race, because you are basically saying, hey, get ready for the post, that's coming, that's going to cancel this race. It's just not, I don't know. I'm not a fan of, shooting a deer in the leg. Just kill it. Just end it. If you know it's going to be over, just go ahead and end it there. So it looks like Vegas to Reno will be canceled, if I had an assumption. Kentucky cross country. So this was something that kind of just ran across my Instagram or my Facebook feed. It's Kentucky XC Racing on Facebook. They have had a couple races. They look like they've got some really great promotional stuff going on right now. I'm going to throw it up here on screen so everybody can see with me. This is a new race league we're looking at. Obviously, they've got a race August 1st. They've got a race September 24th. Kentucky area, northern Kentucky area. They are racing side-by-sides. I likely, if everything goes according to plan and they continue to have the races that are on schedule, I'm going to try and make one of the races this fall. Last thing I have to do for this car is window nets and pass-through harnesses, pass-throughs on the seats. So I've got both of those ordered. So my XP 1000, I believe they have a naturally aspirated class. I'll be racing in that. But my plan is to be down there and race one of those races. It's not Pro Rock, it's not endurance, it's not Ultra 4, it's cross country, which tells me it's probably going to be a lot easier on parts. It's going to be a little easier to get into in terms of probably entry fees and things like that, because these guys are just now getting the ball rolling. I'm about it. I really think it's good to try all different kinds of things. I've never done cross country, anything. So we'll see how it turns out. I don't know what to expect, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. But Kentucky XC Racing, give those guys a follow. We have a lot of guys in the Kentucky area who listen to the show, a lot of guys in the surrounding states as well, and a lot of guys who could come out here and really, really do some damage. So big hype for these guys. I'm excited. I'm going to try to make their possibly, it looks like it's going to be their September race. Let's see if we can get it. The Red River Scramble here. Motorcycle rally. Bummer. Okay, maybe I'm not going to try and make that. So we'll see. They have UTV races every once in a while. ATV, MX, all that kind of stuff. I'll try and make some of these races this year just to see what it's about. But I wanted to give those guys a little bit of shout out, because I'm looking at racing them myself. I always looking to do something different. That car is set up to do nothing right now except party, and we'll see how it all turns out. Let's see. The other thing I want to talk about is getting that car ready. L&W radius rods. I've got some ORB trailing arms coming in. I've got Super ATV A arms. They're the boxed high clearance A arms. I'm going to give them a try. I've had bad luck with some of their tube stuff, but we'll see. It's kind of one of those things. We'll see. I'm waiting on a couple more safety things to come in, and then we should be ready to race, and I should be out there. If you guys are interested in getting any kind of real estate on the car, just message the Facebook or the Instagram. We can always work out something, promotional stuff in exchange for parts, stuff like that. Just help getting the car going. What has been taking up my time, because I'm not going to be trail riding, I'm not going to be racing while it's still this dang hot outside. I don't know about you guys, but you guys who are racing Obviously, you can see I've got my garage bay open. You guys that are racing right now, y'all are going through it. Fire suits, full-size helmets. Guys at the Ultra 4 race, I had a few guys reach out to me, more than one, that talked about fatigue and attrition during the race, going against them. I'm a big proponent of health. I have, some nutrition certifications, some fitness certifications. If anybody needs help with diet, exercise, anything like that, it really makes a big deal when you get in that fire suit. Those extra 10, 15 pounds you got carrying on you, they heat you up too. If you're in better shape, you can last longer in the car. You can stay more precise and wise. That's always a big thing. And I haven't talked to as many racers about it. How do you take care of yourself to prepare yourself for these long races? Because it definitely plays a factor. But I personally, I used to love the summer. I used to love going riding during the summer, and it's just something that's worn on me. So I'm not actually riding right now. That's the last ride I went on was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I need to wash the car up and get it, do once over on everything, get it ready for the races this fall. But she's parked. She's parked for a while because it's just too dang hot. What I'm doing to keep myself busy, though, in the meantime, if you listen to our episode with Jordan Pellegrino, you'll know that we talked pretty extensively about the COVID nationals that he did at his house, what he had set up and all that kind of other fun stuff. The COVID nationals is a race set up for these right here. These are 1/24th scale axial cars. So if you've been around the podcast, you know that I've got a big love for the RC stuff. My kid has fallen in love with these. My wife has been out there playing with us. What we've done essentially is just made a little course in our backyard, and we're calling it the Southeastern COVID Nationals to rip Jordan off completely. But these are pretty fun, I gotta say. So the 1/10 scale, all that kind of fun stuff. 1/24 scale. 1/10 is obviously a little bigger. I've got a 1/10 axial bomber here that obviously has been put through through some mud here recently. But you can tell that this car, the body's not attached to it for one. But this car is a lot bigger, which means the bigger the car, the bigger the tire, the more, the bigger the obstacles have to be to, you got to find places to play. So it's a little harder to find places to play when the cars are bigger. I have the 1.9 bomber over there, and I've also got a 1/10 scale bouncer here. A lot of the RC rock bouncing guys have talked me into it. Really, really cool setup. These things are tons of fun. Travis Vance built me this chassis here, and I'm running a Hoback skid there, so I can run leading and trailing arms. They're pretty fun, you guys. If you don't already have the RC stuff, if you're not into the RC stuff, I've got the answer for you. Okay, these guys right here, they're $100 or $110, I think. They come with a controller, they come with your battery, they come with a charger, everything that you need. Because once you start getting into the higher end stuff, you have to buy a charger, you have to buy a battery. They don't come included in the price of the car. But these little guys right here, they do come. Everything's ready to rip. What's really cool about them is, so this is my stepdaughter's car. It's totally stock. We got axial nittos here. Pretty cool little 1-inch tall nittos. This is one of their deadbolt bodies. They also make this body for the 1/10 scale. So this is one of my old crawler bodies that I had just floating around. But obviously, this will show you the size difference between 1/10 and 1/24. These 1/24 cars, they're pretty neat. I would normally have something pulled up here, but I just want to show you guys what I've got in my hands. Battery included, ESC included. There's a little motor in there, sitting right here. Servos are strong. It's all really fun. Look, the reason that I'm talking about this is because there are some days that people will come up and they'll ask me, what's your favorite type of off-roading? I've done full-size in Jeeps. I've ridden around in rock bouncers. I've done side-by-sides, endurance, hill killing. I've done a little bit of everything. I'm not the best at everything, but done a little bit of everything. And there are days where I would tell you that RC is more fun than anything else. Obviously, it's a fraction of the cost, which is always nice because you can go a little bit harder and not have to worry about paying for it. But These 124th cars are really, really, really fun. They're pretty indestructible in terms of my stepdaughter, or I'll just call her my daughter from now on. My daughter drove it down the stairs. She put a little LOL action figures, dolls in there, and then just drove it, yeeted it off the stairs. And it rolled all the way down, no damage to it. So they're super tough. Everything is replaceable. And it's so great because if you were to break something, in the steering up here, something like that, this whole axle assembly is $20. So, rather than trying to have to worry about finding this exact part for that exact piece or doing this and that, you can just order whole sections and they all come pre-assembled, so you don't have to worry about it. It's really nice. Obviously, you can see the suspension is really soft, and it's really a good time to play with. So this is my stepdaughter's, and this is mine. So she's got the deadbolt body, and I have I've got the Jeep body here. Now I've done some modifications to mine. You'll see that mine's got a little bit more droop and stuff, and the body's not all the way down on there, but I took the front bumper off, run the lights through the grill, and there's plenty of articulation, all kinds of fun stuff, a lot of suspension travel. But what we've done, or what I've done, is I built this little backyard course, and I've had so much fun with it. If you are, not able to afford a rock bouncer, that's me. If you're not able to keep dumping money into a side-by-side, if you're not able to get a side-by-side, if you're not able to get, one of these that run you $400, $500, $600, $700, after it's all said and done, these 124th cars are awesome. They're pretty tough for what they are. They're so much fun. You can run them inside, outside. I just have had a blast. The experience of driving these cars is very similar to a one-to-one full-size rig. A lot of guys, I talked to Jordan Pellegrino, who's an Ultra 4 guy. He said, they're very realistic in terms of, if you can learn how these maneuver and the physics of how these maneuver, you'll have a good idea of how the one-to-one works. But most of all, it's something to do. A lot of people out there can't go wheeling right now due to the coronavirus. A lot of people out there may not have the funds right now. I know work has been really crazy for some people. So $110, loads of fun. I had $110 worth of fun on the first night I bought it, and I've had so much more since then. These things are fully customizable. They've got wheels, tires, super swampers you can put on here. And there's a 3D printer guy who will make you a rock bouncer cage for them. So they're really fun. I did not necessarily buy into them when Axial first released them. I thought they were kind of like the wrong direction. I was like, you guys are neglecting the 2.2 market, the big bouncers. You guys are missing this market. But I was wrong. This is great. These are so much fun. They're pretty fast. They've got plenty of torque. They're super capable, and they're tons of fun. I built this course so that my buddies can come over. We can drink a 12-pack beer, yell at each other, and see who can get the fastest time. I'll post a picture of my homemade course when it gets cleaned up just a little bit. I recently built a little wood structure. It's like a little wood, arc pass around, and it doesn't look the best, but it was for proof of concept. When it gets cleaned up a little bit, I'll put some pictures online, and we'll have races. So when are you getting a 124th chassis? I don't know. These things work pretty well. I'll be honest with you, Dustin. The chassis are cool. They look cool, but it's kind of one of those things that I really didn't want to throw a whole lot of money at these. I really just kind of wanted to see what they were about, kind of get into it, get in, get out type thing. I thought they were going to suck. They're pretty fun. I have run the 124th scale car in the last couple weeks 10 times as much as I've run any other car. And I haven't run that car in the last 2 weeks, and I've run, the minis. So a lot of fun. I really recommend them. They've got this car in a red, a green. They have a C10 truck. They've got the Jeeps. They've got the Jeeps in a white and an orange. Wish I had bought the orange, but they didn't have it at my local hobby store. Always trying to support those guys. Keep the money in the local area if you can. Helps keep the door open. Everybody's having a hard time right now, so rather than if you can go somewhere local, it's always best. But in terms of what else we got going on, just getting the safety up for this car, my side-by-side, so we can start racing in the fall. I'm going to give the ORB trailing arms a try. Thanks to Dustin at All Things UTV. hooking me up with a set of those. It's going to be great. 2.5 inches of ground clearance, going to be awesome. I'm really, really excited to give those a try. I've never had a car with aftermarket trailing arms, so I'll let you know if it's worth buying, just because they're pretty dang expensive. I think the final price of it all was about $730 for the ORB powder coated and shipped. You know, it's kind of is what it is. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure what the future of that car is. It's paid for, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's hard to want to go get another car, but also with the looming 1000 XP transmissions over my head, it's something to always think about. But we'll see how it goes. Other than that, it looks like the Southern Rock Racing Series Hawk Pride live stream has started. I'm excited to watch those guys today. Curious what the bouncers are going to do. All kinds of fun stuff. So I did 40 minutes by myself. It's not my intention. I was going to jump in here and just for 20 minutes chit chat about nothing. Made it go a little longer than I expected. So all that being said, guys, thank you. Support those who support the show. Dynajet, Super Grip ATV. Man, it is so funny. Everything's backwards. Infinite Off-Road, all things UTV. Diddy's Big Block. I do want to say this before I close out the show. I've been talking to Diddy's Big Block Race Shop. So there's the shock market in the side-by-side industry is a couple of different things. You have two pathways. You can spend $400 and get a complete set of tenders and vastly improve your ride right out of the box, or you can take the stage 1 shock therapy kit, which is a full set of springs. Stage 2 involves revalving, all that kind of fun stuff. There's different stages and levels. So essentially, you can upgrade the springs, no valving. You can upgrade the valving with no springs. You can do tenders and no valving upgrades. What I'm working on with Chris over at Diddy's Big Block is we're trying to find the middle ground. If I can, spend $400 and get some tenders, or $250, I don't remember. I don't recall exactly what the price of the tender kit is. If I can get some tenders for my vehicle, and I can send my shocks off and have them revalved for the super competitive rate that Diddy's Big Block is doing them for me, and get a really nice package out of it. What that does is that cuts $1,000 off the full shock setup, because springs for all the corners and everything is about $1,000, $1,200, just depending on what all you want to do and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm actually going to go up with Diddy's Big Block Race Shop. I'm going up there with Chris sometime to Blue Holler, and he's got a set of my shocks right now. We're going to take this set of shocks, and we're going to set one of them up for endurance racing or cross-country racing, and then we're going to set the other set up for trail riding, and try to get the best trail riding with just tenders and a revalve. And then the other set of shocks, I believe, has stock springs on there. And we're going to try and overcompensate in the valving department and see what's the best that we can get with just a revalve. What's the best that we can get for tenders and a revalve. And we're going to try and find this middle ground for you guys. Chris is working hard, man. Chris is, he's at every race doing the bouncers, trail rigs, everything. He just did a 4-seater. And the guy who has the 4-seater said it was a really night and day difference with just valving. I'm really excited to see what we come up with. And when I say what we come up with, I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm too stupid. I'm a moron. I have no idea what it comes to when it comes to shock stuff. So Chris is going to work his magic. I'm going to have my seat time in my car. We're going to be swapping shocks off, all day, doing short course, doing woods, doing trail riding. And we're really going to have to try to figure something out where, I can come to you guys and say, hey, do you have tenders? Yes. Okay. Well, here's the valving spec that I recommend for trail riding. Here's the valving setup I recommend for endurance racing. Now, when I say valving setup, it's going to be, hey, go to Chris, tell him you got tenders, and tell him, we're going to build out these packages so that right out of the gate, and I can wholeheartedly tell you my experiences with the exact valving setup that he's going to hook you up with. And I'm going to be able to say, okay, if you're trail riding and you have tenders, this is a great package for you. If you're trail riding and you don't have tenders and you just want to revalve and see how it works for you, I can tell you that this feels this way. It's 40% as good as your ride with tenders, or it's 80% a difference, just valving versus tenders and no valving. We're really working on these combinations to try and get you guys some budget friendly shock tuning, because, man, I mean, I'm the prime example. I've run in cars with shock therapy, gold edition, $3,000 worth of shocks, tuned, sprung, everything's perfect. $5,000 worth of shock. Like, that's not attainable for a lot of people. A lot of people want to throw some tenders at it and see what happens from there. If I can get you guys a valving setup on top of that, that's really reasonable, and get you out the door for a fraction of that, high premier entry level dual rate spring, this and that. If I can get you at a fraction of that and have, I don't think that you'll ever get that kind of ride by not changing springs out. But if I can get you 75% of that ride for 25% of the cost, I feel good about that. I feel good about making that recommendation. So that's something in the works. We'll see how it all pans out. It's all only time will tell. We'll get out there, we'll test tune, all that kind of fun stuff, and we'll get you a package or I'll recommend you a package. We'll get you a package R&D'd and developed and all that kind of fun stuff where I can say, hey, if you want to get tenders, here's a great valving setup. If you don't want to do it, you just want to get valving, I can tell you your ride's going to be 40% better by just doing this valving. That's kind of the idea that we're shooting for. So all that being said, with a very long-winded answer, Chris over at Diddy's Big Block is grinding right now to get an excellent shock option for everybody. And he'll even offer, the full shebang. If you want to do springs, valving, all that kind of fun stuff, he'll definitely offer that as well. He's just trying to find a middle ground for the everyday person. So thanks, guys, for staying around. Thanks for the sponsors, and thanks for those of you guys who chime in all the time. Really appreciate your support. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of fun stuff. I don't know if this is a dead set thing or not, but I am in talks right now with Super Grip ATV. I should be getting another set of tires in here pretty soon. They're supposed to be for me testing the intermediate compound, because I still haven't gotten my hands on them. They've just been so unavailable. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is probably hold another giveaway sometime, maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I believe that I may even be giving away a set of Diddy's Big Block tuned shocks towards the end of the year as well. We'll just have to see what it all pans out, but please keep your eyes open for that. So, Super Grip ATV tires may be coming down the line, and a set of fully valved shocks may be coming down the line for a giveaway as well. So thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate you guys every single time. Thank y'all.